Ooh, hello again. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to yet another rendition of Renegades Ramble. As you can clearly see,
We're losing people.
Yeah, just the two of us and Nick.
And then there were two.
Yeah. So the reason for Jacob and Lavina's absence is because Jacob's work schedule changed up a little bit. For now, hopefully it won't be permanent. If it is, then you'll probably... Wow, that was fast. That was really, really fast. So
Fast is good.
Oh yeah, fast is good. So for anyone out there wondering what happened to them, that's why. Also, Lavina, given her change up in scheduling and everything, and the fact that she's really, really, really trying hard to get her stuff started up and everything. It's and plus the fact that they only have one car and Jacob's
that's an hour drive down.
And it is an hour drive. So that's the reason why for that. So hopefully you will see them back on here soon enough, and if all else fails, we will reschedule the date for this so that they can be here with us. So, yeah.
Can Nick be in the stream? I am in the stream. It's just my voice.
Yeah, sit right here,
Yeah, it's
Nick.
God. Yeah,
We'll keep you warm.
Hey, God, can you play the first meme for us?
Careful what you wish for.
Always the first one.
The old chum.
Guess
I'm
who said
not
that
a
one?
gnome. I'm not a goblin.
I'm a gnome. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna turn around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. Da-dum, da-da-da-dum. Sorry.
I'm going to just start using words with the
Unfortunately, you
fart
guys
at the
can't
beginning of
both
it.
see my face and me operate the stuff at the same time. So
Yeah.
Do what?
He's saying to everybody, unfortunately, you cannot see my face and see me operating the stuff at the same time.
Yeah.
Now, we did have a webcam in there for Nick, but he never used it. So
I don't even remember that being here.
I told you, it's like, if you ever want to turn it
Take
around
that
on
one
you.
right there. We got.
Yeah, because I got two more in the bag in there,
Remember
man.
the microphone that'll capture my voice, and I don't use that either because it's too much trouble to bring up the window and unmute it and mute it again when I'm done talking.
You need to put a hotkey on there for you for that.
Right?
Yeah, get the Elgato Stream Deck back in here and do some stuff
So you
with
can
it.
do smooth crossfade.
Yeah, ultra smooth.
If you didn't put two and two together, that was from Dusk.
Oh yeah, well
See,
of
always
course
sends that
I
in.
know. Yeah, Dusk. Thank you very much. I mean, thank you for the donation,
Thank you,
but
Dusk.
also begrudgingly, thank you for the Rick Astley and Gnome.
For the 18,000th time.
It never fails to amaze
It's only
me.
like the sixth, so.
Yeah, well,
Whatever.
yeah, but
I would wager that it's at least the 18th time.
maybe.
Because we've been.
Not
This
just
is.
in the corner. I'm in a legit control room.
Yeah, no, he's behind safety glass.
Yeah, there's like panes of glass and shit. And everything.
Yeah.
We set up the control room. Actually, yesterday I went through and cleaned everything up because we had wires kind of draped everywhere.
Yeah.
So I tried.
Foam thingies on the wall
Yeah.
in here too that all the legit streamers have.
Oh
Yeah,
it's nice.
soundproofing and everything,
I
which,
need to add more in there, but
Yeah, which we've got some on the wall in front of us, but there's also some inside of the sound booth. So, yeah.
I should have grabbed some couple pictures, just toss them up on there. But
Yeah.
yesterday I went through. I put the monitors on swivel mounts and tried consolidating the cables so it's nice and easy setup and
Yeah,
everything. So.
you did good in there, man. It looks
I can
good.
also do this today.
Uh-oh. What can you do?
Change the camera.
Oh, that's right.
It's not that different.
No, but it's switching perspectives. It's a thing we're testing out for now because we're going to be having a very special guest on August 7th, and we want to be able to at least look semi-professional. And
When he talks, one of the cameras will be pointed at him, and I'll just be able to be like, oh.
When you said you're getting a new Elgato that's got
well, no, it's not an Elgato. It's a it's not MuxLab. It'll come to me here in just a second, but it will have 4 inputs on it for 4 HD cameras.
Yeah, which is good. 'Cause
And
we can
Maxwell.
set them up.
It's a Maxwell Quadro
Yeah.
Quadro capture, and it's it's a bad machine, and I would like to have that so that we can use like all the HD cameras that we can, and plus it'll make things at the wrestling school a lot easier too, because not only will I have all of the webcams available, but I will also have like HD cam. Like I could put GoPros everywhere and get like really crazy good quality from them.
I mean, that's what we did when Jacob. We did a few episode podcasts for like heavy metal music and stuff.
Yeah, y'all had these
the
cameras here.
Tasty Jams.
Tasty Jams.
We had the 3 HMC 150s, and we didn't have any other cameras at the time, so we pulled out our Red 1 MX.
Y'all use the red.
Yeah, we were using a 18 to 50 millimeter lens, and it could literally only zoom out to the point where, like, as far back as we can move the camera to these couches right here. You couldn't get the sides, so because I really wanted to use that for a wide shot, we just couldn't make it happen.
No. Well, you see with Rooster Teeth, they actually have the ones that like the ultra wide on their reds,
like the Black Magic for theirs.
Well,
right?
they use those now, but they used to use their red cinema camera. Yeah, they used to use that for their hard cam.
There's not a problem doing it. You can set everything to like 1080 and run like any other camera. It's just it's ludicrous.
Yeah,
like you're running this fucking $50,000, $60,000 cinematic camera for a podcast.
Yeah, well, when you're Rooster Teeth, I guess you can get away with that kind of stuff. But us here, I mean, these webcam, like the most expensive webcam I have is the one that we're using right there, which is when I got it, it was about $200. Which
I've been looking around. At Walmart, they've only got like the lowest brands at Walmart.
Yeah.
You gotta go by like Best
Well,
Buys.
yeah, the Logitech. Well, everyone downplays Logitech. If you're looking for a web camera, like for a good streaming camera, you cannot beat the Logitech 920.
They do have a couple Logitechs there, but I think they're only like 720 or 30 frames per second.
Yeah.
So
that
it's kind of
those
I
are
at least like to get a 1080 in 60 frames per second.
Which that's what the Logitech Brio is. I mean, that's really the only one that does it at a smooth 60. The rest of them, they interlace the frames, and it's not a real 60 FPS. At most, it's like 40.
Oh yeah.
Which when Linus Tech Tips explained that to me, I was just like, oh, because Linus is one of my heroes. If I ever had a chance to meet him, I'd be like, dude, can I raid your used parts closet? Because I need a new PC. And he'll probably just be he's so Canadian, so nice. He'll probably be like, no,
he'd say sorry, but not sorry.
Sorry, but not sorry, man. Yeah, the memes are starting to pile up. So Nick, if you want to go ahead and after. Yeah, get the dance on.
You gotta get something shorter than that, dude.
Well, I'm gonna change them up. Wrong camera. Damn it.
Nate really doesn't like this meme. I don't get it. I mean, I get it. I understand what's happening here, but I'm not offended by it like he is. Nate's doing something in the control room right now.
It's irritating. It's so fucking irritating. It hurts.
He says it's fucking irritating. It hurts. We're going to get through this. Just 35 or more seconds.
I'm missing my Hennessy.
I don't know why. That was awful.
I wish I had my Hennessy here right now. I'd be guzzling that bitch. Next.
Gibbster 101 gave us a $10 donation.
Hey, Gibbster, thank you, man. Much appreciated. Thank you so much.
Is my mic actually muted back here? I don't think it is.
Thought I muted it.
Okay, yeah, I guess.
We can hear you clearly through that thing.
Yeah, $10 donation from the Gibbster. When I get one, I'll invite you guys here. I'm going to name it the same as well.
Oh.
Okay, let's see what this is.
2 days.
Oh, submarine.
They took my house.
I'm going in for a food run. All that's left is the spam and the pork rinds.
We both knew this day would come, Uno!
I have long since made peace with this. I'm just glad we're still alive.
All thanks to my submarine, the USS Medic.
My dick.
That's right.
I freaking knew it.
How does it feel riding my dick?
17
My dick.
years. 17 years you've been holding on to that one.
You don't know the patience I have. You didn't answer the question either.
It's tight and damp.
Gotta love Master Roshi.
The USS Medic.
How's it feel riding my dick? I love. You see, sometimes Team 4-Star hits such a great home run with their stuff. That is the prime example of like pure comedic perfection on their end, and Toei still doesn't like them. I wonder why. Because they're funnier than them.
Probably.
Haters gonna hate.
Want another one?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Go ahead. Bring 'em
Players
up.
gonna
Free
play.
answer, Matt. Donated a dollar.
Oh, thank you, Matt. Doughnut the oh no,
What is it?
Doughnut the musical.
Donut the mute. Oh, God.
Okay, Doughnut. I want as much information as possible.
Let me blow you away. You won't believe your eyes and you say, damn. You are in for a surprise when you look into my eyes. You won't be able to deny your eyes.
Wait a minute, Doughnut. You're what?
Come on, Sarge. You can't deny my deep, penetrating eye contact.
Fucking
my
Christ.
gaze. What did you think I said?
Don't ask.
Don't tell.
Jesus.
Let me blow you away. There's nothing that I will not do or say.
See, back when Rooster Teeth was not afraid to offend people.
Yeah. They definitely do seem like they've toned Donut down.
You know,
What?
a
They
stallion.
do kind of seem like they've toned Donut down, at least on the
Yeah.
innuendo.
Saddle. Now, who wants to mount up?
Oh, God. Let me start with this inquiry, which I've recorded in my diary. I've got a secret thing I want to say.
That girl's got a great arm.
Then a conundrum, or a chilly threesome. Not taking time to enjoy life each day.
What was it that he said? 20 points, something.
Yeah.
What was it? Yeah.
Never cease.
You whore or something. 20 points, you whore.
Got elbow grease. There's really
Jesus. And there's Lopez right behind him. Lopez is just like I want to end my life.
Elbow grease.
Lopez.
He's-
Stupid do they think I am? When I get back with that headlight fluid, I'm going to talk to the sergeant.
That's good.
Yeah.
That was good. All right. Next.
Another one from Dusk.
Hey, Dusk. Thank you. Oh, no. I think I might have made a mistake. No!
You farted! You stink!
Ah! Roll the window down, Bruce.
Disgusting! Fucking window down!
Yeah. Roll the window down, Bruce. You farted again! He's just waving. He's literally just waving it up at him like wafting it.
That is revolting, Mitchell! Seriously, that is fucking bloke next door can fucking smell it! Oh my god!
Protein fart.
The hardcore protein
Shit, you
farts.
done farted. Fucking hell, mate! Fucking slow down! Fucking idiot!
My dad would have killed me at that point. My dad would have stopped the car, told me to get out, and he wouldn't let me back in until I was done.
I'm fucking pulling over, you can fucking get out. I'm not fucking joking, Mitchell. That is fucking off! You have! You have!
It seems like he has Tourette's syndrome.
Sorry, mate. Fucking hell, Mitchell, you're nearly making me...
fart jokes. So mature, but yet so funny.
What do you expect, man? There's just stuff that works.
Yeah. And then there's overdoing it, like in the Shrek movies.
Yeah, not gonna lie. Well, I will say this though. The first perfect timing on that one.
Glasses are so goddamn worn down.
Well, how long have you had those glasses?
Like
now?
fucking a year or two or something like that.
Oh yeah,
the hinge is already broke on this one. I had to glue it back. But
oh well,
yeah,
there you go. That explains it. Wear and tear, my friend. It's never ending. That's everywhere with these with stuff we got.
Anyways,
yeah,
we got another one. Or?
Yeah, I got another one.
Yeah, freelancer Matt donated this one. It says 2019 summer anime.
Oh no.
I think it's just an opening or something that's coming out.
Wait, is this the? It's the magician one. Jesus Christ.
Oh god, I know what that means.
Don't. I watched the first episode and no.
No.
No, the only thing that this show has going for it is that some of the pranks are actually pretty funny, but overall, it's no.
Is it basically just slice of life kind of? Slice of life of magic.
Sort of, a little bit, but this thing keeps sliding off the thing. Hold on.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like the cast is the same cast as shit. Just doing stuff.
Yes, actually, you're not wrong. Except the girl, yeah, I forget the main magician girl's name in this, but she'd be Anna. And in all honesty, she's a magician that suffers from stage fright. And her tricks, whenever she pulls them off in the room, are awesome, but in public, they're terrible. Terrible. Much like a napkin in the hands of a 5-year-old. It's terrible. There we go. Got it fixed.
Is it like all the other high school club type animes?
Kind of, yeah. Except... If Tim Curry played Yoshi.
It's also from Dusk.
Damn it, Dusk.
He's playing the highlights.
Yeah, because if you're just going to play on repeat, I mean, we're not going to be surprised. Why do I get a feeling of regret saying that? Because I guarantee you, Dusk is just like, oh, you want something new, huh? And then, yeah, rolls up sleeves.
It's going to be the fart thing, but in reverse.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Never gonna give you up.
Actually, you know what?
Oh, you fought it!
Yeah. Except I could actually see it. Never gonna bring ha. Never gonna bring ha.
You know, I'm surprised obviously they got the Rickroll thing in there, but I'm surprised we haven't seen the one where like it's like the Russian thing or whatever, where it's like la 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 la.
Oh yeah, the Trollolol song.
La la la.
The trolls. That's always a good one. That one's never gonna not be funny.
That's the funniest moment in Fury. Dude, Fury, I came out of the theater depressed after seeing that movie.
It was depressing. Well, the U.S. tank divisions were undermanned and did not have the armor to stand up to the Germans. The only reason the Germans didn't win is because more of us showed up than
I was fine
them.
with the tank fight. That was fine. It was everything else in the movie that was like, wow, this is kind of fucked up.
Welcome to war, my friend.
Yeah.
War is not a thing that people
like the fucking the Panzer Shrek team of 17-year-olds that goddamn shoot a Sherman tank. You see dudes on fire and they get mowed down. Yeah, it was.
Of course.
fucking
What
brutal.
did you expect, man? I mean, it's war. War is not a pretty thing. I mean, if you don't kill your enemy's going to kill you.
It had Shia LaBeouf in it, so I didn't really have that high.
Actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf?
Yeah.
Sorry. Every time someone says his name, I have to say that meme. I have to. It's just a requirement. I can't not say it.
I will say it was definitely a step up for a movie for Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, it was.
All the Transformers
Well,
bullshit.
him and John Bernthal, Michael Pena, Brad Pitt, they all did great. I think they all did really good. And honestly, I think if that film, oh God, I think the film is actually a really good masterwork of warfare filming by David Ayer.
Except during the like the big crossfire, where it seemed like suddenly they brought in the Empire and Rebellion from Star Wars, because there were all kinds of fucking red and green tracers going back and forth.
Well, those were the tracer rounds.
I know they were tracer rounds, but man, it looked like fucking lasers.
Star Wars, yeah. It looked like some Star Wars.
It was
shit.
a little.
It really did. And
oh boy,
we got us a visit being paid by El Head Honcho.
What's up?
The oh, comic books.
Oh,
well, how conspicuous! Yeah, we were talking about Fury the Tanguy, and he brings in the Sergeant Fury comic book, which is actually pretty cool. Yeah, come on in, Ron. Come in, Ron. Yeah, just lay him down there. Hey, he'll give us something to talk about. There he is. Yeah. Thank you, good sir. That's the studio manager, Mr. Ron Capes himself, Ron's father.
He's got all kinds of cool stuff.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever read any like the Mac Bolan books?
Yeah.
I read.
He's
got a whole collection.
I remember these, like the Howling Commandos, Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos. This is Nick Fury and his before.
Is that what it is?
I believe so. You know, it's just sort of his origin story that led to him becoming Nick Fury of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because originally, Nick Fury has gone through several designs throughout his career.
I was gonna say what.
Which
episode did he become black?
It was actually in the 90s when because originally in the 80s they modeled him to look like David Hasselhoff.
Oh.
And then in the 90s there was a switch because Hasselhoff was falling out of favor, and instead they wanted to find someone in the 90s who would personify this new Nick Fury, who really didn't give a shit about the rules as much as the previous Nick Fury. And who did they go to? Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson is all about espionage, all about and I remember when first seeing Sam Jackson's Nick Fury, it actually blew me away. I was just like, whoa, this is something different. This is something interesting. And this is that's the Nick Fury I always remembered from my childhood and seeing in comic books. Going back and seeing Hasselhoff as Nick Fury was interesting, but he was nowhere near as interesting as a character as they made him. You see, just like Groot has gone through several redesigns. Originally, he was a villain. And they actually rewrote him to be a hero. And instead of making him like this being that could actually like reach into the ground and feel on the planet where the enemies were, and was like very methodical and very like sinister, instead they made him simple, and they made him cute. That's what they did.
I am Groot.
Exactly. And looking back on the history of comic books and everything, I mean, it's just
or Avenger or
Endgame
or not Endgame. Was it fucking Infinity Wars? I am Groot.
Yeah, Teenage Groot. Teenage Groot is a bit of a pain in the ass. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with Guardians 3. I wonder if they're going to do like Moody Groot, like Moody college years Groot, where he's just like, I am Groot.
Now, I haven't seen Captain Marvel yet, so I don't know if there's if it
I watched it all the way through, and in all honesty, it's okay, but there are so many disappointments in it, especially the Nick Fury disappointment.
Is there any critical information to the plot that, is it necessary to know it?
No.
Okay.
No, there's one they try and tie in to make Carol Danvers even more important, but honestly, it just doesn't work.
That's what I don't understand. Did DC and Marvel have like a meeting, because the fucking Supergirl is named Kara Danvers, right? And it's basically they're effectively the same thing.
That's not the only thing. You see, Shazam, the character Shazam, was originally named Captain Marvel. As a matter of fact, he was named Captain Marvel first before Marvel or the original Captain Marvel came into the picture. And you see, it all stemmed from when the original creator lost his rights to the namesake of Captain Marvel whenever he sold the comic to DC, because DC bought the comic off of him and they pretty much shut it down. But then they were just like, okay, what's one of our old serials that we can relaunch? Oh, I know, Captain Marvel. And then they were like, okay, but Marvel already has a Captain Marvel, but this was Captain Marvel first. Then there was a huge battle legally for, I think, a decade throughout the 70s and the 80s. And then eventually it got settled around the 1990s, and Captain Marvel could not have... He could call himself Captain Marvel in the comic, but the title of the comic could not be Captain Marvel. It had to be Shazam. And thus, that's why Captain Marvel, a.k.a. Shazam, is now called Shazam and not Captain Marvel anymore, even though it's bullshit. And Carol Danvers is not the original Captain Marvel. Even the original Captain Marvel isn't the original Captain Marvel, for God's sake.
Shazam is a stupid fucking name.
It is.
Sorry.
It is. But guess what? They make it work. They made it work in the movie that they just put out. That's actually probably the best. I would say it's on par with Wonder Woman and Aquaman as really, really damn good.
Yeah, it's just the name just sounds like Yippee-Ki-Yay or
kind of, except
fucking...
Shazam has to do with magic instead of like cowboys.
Ta-da!
Yeah. That's I guess that's how it goes.
Anyways.
So, all right, Nick, what's the next meme?
This one's from Murder of Birds.
Oh, MOB, what's up, man? How you doing? Oh god!
I was about
to Murder of Birds, dude. He's the most famous Ruby reactor out there.
Okay.
Originally, it was him and us, but then he kept with it, and because. Oh, Barbara.
We'll have a steak off, and I'll be the judge, and I can wear a little hat.
Why don't we add some money to this and raise the stakes?
Oh, Barbara.
I'm a little bit sad. My first time applying for a job wasn't my second job, which is selling swords. My first time. That's awesome. What? I know, right? I totally sold swords. Very, very exciting. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford any of them. And I also... Sword any of them? I couldn't afford a single thing.
Do you get sick at conventions? That's a very common thing.
I do fist bump people, but I also really like to hug people.
Shake off hands you want, just don't, like, go putting your hands in your mouth.
Oh.
Like, if I dip my hand in a bowl, pull it out, and then wash it.
A bowl of what?
Knew that was coming.
Are you gonna share those?
No. They're not.
Oh, they have Blake's got them.
I was gonna say they're not sharing berries.
Say they're sherry.
Amateur hour over here.
Berries made by Sherry.
I called for Joe's cat that I didn't know was a thing until he went missing. Remember when he went missing for a month and we hired a cat tracker, real person, actual job.
Why did she not call herself like all cat? Sure.
Cat.
Wow. Damn. A catcher. Jesus Christ. Good job. Okay. Thank you, Murder of Birds. Thank you. Also, keep it up with the Ruby reactions, man. Hopefully we'll catch up one day. Hopefully we'll be back on even ground with you. Probably not, because
season 7 will be starting here probably in about a month or so.
Yeah, I know, and that's what's got me just like, damn. What are we gonna do? Because
you're gonna tell who's the you do it with?
Micah. It was Micah and
Micah.
Originally it was Micah, Ben, and Caleb, and then Caleb stopped coming because his job and everything, and also he sort of got disinterested for certain reasons. Reasons Micah told me about, but I can't really divulge on here. And then when Micah stopped coming over, when Ben was still part of the channel, me and Ben decided, hey, maybe we'll come back to it. But then Ben quit the channel, and now I really don't know what to do because I want Nick to join in with us, but Nick hasn't caught up. And Nick,
I got all of them. So if you want to catch up, it'll only take you like 8 hours. I got all the stuff.
Plus, there's the whole thing to me where I was a fan of Monty Ohm before he made Ruby, and I really don't like what they did with his work after he died.
Season 3 and on. where they warped the and sort of retconned certain things about the characters and have changed things up about certain characters.
I don't really think he would be happy with the current way that the series went.
And it's not just Nick that says that. I mean, Shane and Sheena both are. I mean, I liked what they did with some of the stuff, but then some of the retcons I saw didn't make a lick of damn sense. And I'm like, why would you change that?
What retcons?
The retcons about how abilities work and how not aura. What's the name of the
semblance?
Semblance, and how they can and how all that works. I mean, there's things that there's actually a whole video that was done by a big time Ruby fan that pointed out all these inconsistencies and plot holes and everything that popped up after the passing of Monty and the changing of the characters. To where Monty because Monty, how he envisioned it, he didn't want it to go as dark as quickly.
Right.
Because season 3 rolled around, what happens?
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it, though, is, I think, because, at that point, after 2 seasons, we were like, all right, for fuck's sakes, they've been talking about this Vital Festal thing. Please fucking show us
and Monty had his ideas of what he wanted to do with it, but then it was actually after season 3 finished production that Shane was pretty much told, yeah, you're fired, bye. And Shane was Monty's right-hand man.
Yeah, that's another problem I have with it. Like, if he was still on and helping to make it, I would probably be more excited about trying to watch it.
And Shane...
I could watch it with you guys. It would probably just be a lot of people shitting on me in the comments because I shit on the shows.
I can't really speak to the Shane situation.
Well, not just Shane, but also
happens.
Monty's widow, Sheena.
Right.
Sheena's spoken out against Rooster Teeth and how they treated her and everything, and it's actually disheartened me a little bit against Rooster Teeth. I mean, I still like the people that I like, but I look at Matt and Carrie and Miles and Gray especially, because Gray's actually come under fire here recently for his management skill, and he's actually going to be stepping down as head of Rooster Teeth Animation over it.
Really?
Yeah, the whole thing with, because Crunch is a huge thing right now where they ask their employees, they make their employees sign contracts to where required overtime, to where they're not paid like full double pay for overtime and everything.
Right.
They sign the contracts, but they still go through it anyway. That's on them. But Gray really pushed the envelope with certain people and forced them to complete certain stuff on Genlock 2 weeks before it even premiered, and as a result, these people actually had to go to therapy over it and everything. Which, that's if they can't handle the stress of it and everything, then I don't know. But Gray's come under a lot of fire for that, and also his management skills of Rooster Teeth Animation and projects and everything. And it's just I don't really know what the full story is. I probably never will know the full story, but from everything I've heard, it's just a whole mess right now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with that, especially when it comes to production like that, is, especially when you're on a lot of tight deadlines and stuff like that, you really have to keep people on task. It's if you let something slack, it kind of can become a slippery slope like that.
It can.
I understand that you can't slave drive people, but it's they're a manager, they got to manage. I mean, their job is to be that asshole to some degree.
And that's why I don't mind it, because when people sign a contract, if they don't read it's just like people not reading the terms and services on these things. And I can understand why you don't read it, because it's like 100 pages and would take you. Yeah, it's like reading a book. But signing a personal contract with a company to where you are contracted under them to work with them. I mean, if you don't read the fine print on it and everything, and you don't have someone look at it and see what is required of you, then that's really a legal flub on your side. It's not on the company. I mean, I don't hate Rooster Teeth for doing that kind of stuff. It's just Gray pretty much throwing up his hands and saying, pretty much, tough shit, I don't care. I mean, I get that he's a manager and he kind of has to do that, but still, it's just it's conflicts of interest, you know. And I don't know. I'm not 100% blaming Gray. It's just there's a different way to handle the situation, and he didn't handle it very well. That's just how I see it anyway. But if we do watch Ruby again, if we go through the whole series again with Nick, then I mean, that'd be up to Nick if he wants to do it, because I know people out there would probably want to see it.
Yeah, as far as the style changing, I don't know how significant the retcons and stuff are, but in that kind of situation, there's no way to avoid the fact that the vision's going to change. You're never none of them are going to know what Monty's vision is, because it's his vision. And,
Monty had 9 seasons written out. Like, he had 9 outlines of like what he wanted, and then pretty much after season 2 was over and after Monty died, they decided, hey, you know what? Let's go in a different direction.
But the thing is, I mean, Monty, I don't know, was he? I mean, he wasn't a story writer.
Yeah.
Was he?
Well, he was the overall. He was the story writer, and he helped with dialogue. Miles and Carrie were the primary dialogue writers, and Carrie was the assistant director. He's pretty much taken over full directing duties.
I'm also assuming that he did fight choreography, because that's what he was known for before he started the series.
Well, yeah, he did. A lot of the fight choreography. You can actually see the choreography change in the 3rd season, to which no, the fights actually. In terms of how they're filmed, no, the film quality goes up because the technology only got better, and
they had more people.
I'm
not really talking in terms of how it's filmed. I'm talking about the actual choreography of how people move and the moves they use and stuff like that.
Some of the stuff is questionable. I'm not gonna lie.
Anybody's on his level in terms of like the stuff he would come up with.
I started following him at that whole Halo weird
Haloid, where it was,
thing, and I mean, obviously that skill level is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
It's understandable.
I'll show you what made me become a fan of him real quick.
Careful what you show, Nick.
Why's that?
Because sometimes, is it Dead Fantasy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to.
Some of the music in it's a little copyrighted, but if you want to play,
We can mute it real quick.
go. Okay. I know some people at home are like, "Boo!" I know. What are you gonna do? The internet is not a friendly place. It's not. Especially on YouTube. On YouTube, we are the enemy. Okay. How many memes we got left over, Nick?
Just a couple right now, I think.
Okay, cool.
Ron texted me. He was saying someone on the stream just asked about the picture behind Nick under the lamp. What does that mean?
Behind Nate.
Nate. Nate.
Oh, that?
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that here.
We'll get to stuff like that here in just a second.
Those images are outdated.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
Okay. All right, Nick. Da 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 ba 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 da ba da ba da ba 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 ba. Hey. Oh, why didn't you just do the display capture? Oh yeah, the music, Brian Tyler.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. Dead Fantasy 2. Oh, hey, Tifa.
So the way that they're moving and stuff, like, this is what Monty did that, like, made me be like, this guy's badass at what he does.
And keep in mind, this is him working out of his apartment with Maya. That's it.
Yeah. On a laptop.
Yeah, on a laptop.
Yeah, animation, I mean, I have dabbled in it, and trying to get into, like, as far as, like, the posing the characters is just time-consuming in and of itself. And that's for one frame. Doing this shit, it is a career in and of itself.
Yeah.
And the whole 3D animation process, there are like 10 or 12 just sub jobs, subcategories in that.
Bye. There you go.
I think I know where he got the idea for Weiss.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the bullet dance. Bye-bye.
A lot of this does look kind of similar to what we saw in season 1 and 2 of Ruby.
Long. Of course it does, because I am the god of the podcast, so I can do what I want. To an extent, anyways.
Oof, Tifa just got rocked.
I can't remember when it gets to the really cool part. I know it's coming up soon.
Rika.
Riku.
Riku, sorry.
Yeah, this part.
Yeah, where the building's falling down.
RVB Season 9.
Ladies.
Wonder if he actually recycled any of his animation stuff for RVB or Ruby.
Probably.
Just to save time.
Well, of course. I mean, Monty was all about saving time whenever it was necessary.
I remember the thing that they talked about, like him, instead of microwaving something for 1 minute, microwave it for 59 seconds because it's one button less.
Yeah, him and what's his name? Damn it. Jim.
Yes, we passed 90 seconds. I'm God. You can't tell me what to do. Chat's like, this is past 90 seconds. This is past 90 seconds. That only applies to the submission. Trying to show you guys something. Trying to make a point.
You can skim ahead.
This is basically the part that I was talking about.
Oh yeah, the falling platforms. Yeah. Basically the Bayonetta. Bayonetta copied this. Yep.
Was Bayonetta made before or after this?
Oh, after. Way after. This was 2000 what?
2000, a long time ago. I don't remember.
It was in the mid-2000s, yeah. First Bayonetta came out.
Because RT hired him in like 2008,
I just don't
right?
see anybody hitting that same level of like badass choreography and shit. Because it's like better than the games that it came from.
When did Rooster Teeth hire him? Like 2008 or 9?
2009 was when Bayonetta came out. Huh?
You guys want some memes again?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
We're probably stacked up.
There's only 3.
Oh, okay.
Monty on. Oh, yeah. 2008, 2009, he was hired by Rooster Teeth.
Got it.
Oh, yeah.
No, can you repeat it? I didn't hear it.
I don't actually know because he I'm pretty sure he got hired because of Dead Fantasy because that's the.
I thought it was the Halo
published on
thing,
March 12th,
but
2010.
Yeah, that he reposted them later on his own YouTube channel. But oh yeah, right here, 2007 was when he made Haloid, and then the Dead Fantasy ones followed in 2007 and 2008.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like when I was still in high school that I saw the first one.
And in the industry, he was hired by Midway Games, and he designed the combat system for Afro Samurai, which was a good one. And then in 2009, he met Matt Hullum and Bernie Burns at Comic-Con and started working for Rooster Teeth. And then in 2010, Red vs. Blue, they used his animation style in season 8.
it is such bullshit. Fucking dying from
it was an allergic reaction to medication.
Sedative.
Yeah, which is absolutely crazy when you think about it. Yeah, man. And only 33. I'm 2 years away from that, man. That scares the shit out of me. All right, what's next?
All right, the Gimpster with a $2 donation.
Thank you, Gimpster.
Close! Well, I'm impressed. This is the first time I've met you without you trying to kick my head in. So, why'd they let you out of prison anyway?
Apparently, if you score negative on an IQ test, they give you a free pass out of everything.
You did so bad you owe points?
I get bad?
Hey, Natalie, I brought you a surprise.
Sup, Natalie? You still blind and shit?
Oh no, not you! Hey Lelouch, hey Lelouch, hey Lelouch! What? You know what would suck? What? Being blind. You know what would suck even more? Being blind and crippled. You know what would suck even more? Being blind and crippled because her mom got shot to death. Suzaku!
Fucking Christ.
You're absolutely right.
Although there was really no need for you to eat all the silverware.
Well, I need to be under constant supervision.
Yeah, Suzaku's probably going to have to go to the hospital soon. I've never seen someone swallow so many forks. Nah, this one time he ate a whole end table.
No, not about that. He's the one who got blamed for you blowing up a whole bunch of people. Not to mention he's part of the army. You know, the one that trains people to kill other people who blow up a whole bunch of people.
Look, I'm sure this'll never come back to bite me. Mustn't. Break. Teacup.
Thanks again for inviting me over to eat.
That was not eating. I've seen eating. What you did in there was pure chaos.
Well, I told you I was going to be here sooner, but even I didn't know. Who knew they'd put the death of Columbus's murder on that stupid one guy?
That one guy sounds like a really awesome dude!
You ready? I'm ready. You ready? I'm like ready.
I'm like ready. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Well, Lelouch.
Still need to finish that series.
Ledouche.
You watch Psychopaths yet?
Which one?
Psychopaths?
No, not
Nick,
yet.
have you seen Psychopaths?
I've seen the first episode, I think. Is that the one where they're like cops that investigate people based off of what they think or something like that?
Yeah, basically, it's think of like Minority Report, where like the police are basically.
Time, it's just thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, there's still kind of crime to some degree, but it's really comes down to anybody that is mentally in the position of like, hey, I'm thinking about committing a crime. There's an AI that basically controls society that pretty much determines like, police go eliminate this person, or at best put him in prison to rehabilitate him. But the way they kill people in that show is fucking ridiculous. And I mean, there's a whole philosophical point behind it, but it's brutal.
The last one I watched was Kenichi.
Oh yeah, The Mightiest Disciple.
I recommend to anybody who's into martial arts for sure.
It's one of the funniest anime ever.
It is pretty funny too. Yeah, definitely.
Well, it honestly just how crazy his instructors are. Apachai.
There was a man above the doorway.
Appa. There's a giant with a bird. It was with a bird, right? He's like, there's a giant man with a bird. Appa. And then they get into sparring, and Apachai does not know how to take it easy, so he goes 100% all the time, and almost kills Kenichi every single time. Yes. And then eventually it gets to the point where Apachai, he's just like, Appa? And then he takes it easy on Kenichi. Kenichi takes a shot. He's just like, "Wow, Apachai, I actually took that shot. I guess that means I'm getting stronger." And Apachai's just like, "Appa," just like letting him think about it. He's like, "Appa," just like, because that's the only thing he knows. Where he's Thai, he's Taiwanese, and he's sort of simple. But Apachai is a cool character. Hi, Mom. Oh, it's my mother. It's my mother. Come on, get off my hand. Hello?
Hey.
Hey, what's up?
Technical support question.
Sure, what's up?
1 second. We can't get this TV in the living room. I know we're replacing it, but to hook up to Netflix.
Uh-huh.
It's like it gives you an option to kind of do it, but it didn't give you an option to log on to the internet or anything like that.
You got to go into the options of the actual TV and look for networking.
You have to go in the options of the actual TV and look for network. Is it under input or what does he look?
There should be a button on the remote that brings up menu. You hit the menu.
The menu on the remote.
Yeah. This is my life, ladies and gentlemen. I got her on mute. This is my life. This is what I do. They're trying to program a TV in the living room that's got a broken screen.
For fuck's sake.
It's okay, don't worry about it. We can't find it.
I'll come over one day and I'll get working for y'all. I'll try tomorrow. I'll come over early tomorrow and do it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Had a good day.
So far, yeah. So far, it's been good. Just just sitting here and sitting around. You know how it is.
Mhm.
Anything else you need from me, or all good?
Love you.
Hey, how you doing?
I didn't see that.
Those are, yeah. That's my niece and my nephews.
Right, I love you.
I love you too, Mama.
All right, bye.
Bye. That little interlude brought to you by my family. God have mercy on my family.
Anyway,
Okay.
More memes?
Sure. More memes.
How many we got?
This one's from the Gamers Joint. We got 4.
4 more? Nice.
We're never going to get into about Axiom.
No, we'll be able to.
I'm telling you, man. I'm 26 years old.
Yeah, right.
Look, I'm even smoking cigars.
Fuck off, kid.
You guys really ripped me off in this heist. I only got $5. I can't even buy my teddy bear.
Dude, you know how much clown makeup you could buy with $5?
Yeah?
Hey, stop complaining. Okay, next time, we'll double or even triple your cut. Okay? That's like $10 or $15 right there. so don't go complaining about your damn cut. All right, if we do enough of these heists, I guarantee you one day, if you spend your money wisely and you invest it intelligently, you might be able to afford bouncy castle.
My old bouncy castle? Are you serious? I've always wanted a bouncy castle ever since I was a little clown. That would be absolutely amazing. Who the hell is that? Vegeta!
Well, if it isn't H2O delirious. Water delirious. I get it. Drunk on water, very clever. Did you come up with that yourself? Most impressive. Speaking of which, I hear you're a pretty formidable opponent. We should train sometime. Seriously, do some raps, really throw it out. You and me.
Oh, please don't kill me.
I'm kidding. That'll never happen. Talk to you soon.
That's one of the animated thing. I forget if that's on Delirious's channel because
Christopher Sabat on the title. Did he actually read it?
yes, I think so. I think they got him in to do some voice lines to do those.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Most impressive. Oh, don't worry, it'll never happen. Not in a million years. Sorry, I smoked some cigarettes. Dusk. Here we go again. Yes, we get checked. Oof. 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 Oh.
Escalator not fun to fall on.
No. It's a hard knock life. Oh. What was the end game with that?
Hey, I want you to hit me with a paddle. It's gonna really fucking hurt. Probably gonna fucking have to go to the hospital, but do
I want you to hit me. I want you to hit me with an oar. Or what? Yeah. Mom, you're not gonna believe what Jesse did. Every time that kid goes running off, I've been there, and I've chased that little bastard down the hall so many times and tackled him out of the way so I could be the first to Mom to explain things so that I wouldn't get in trouble.
He did it.
No, I didn't do that. Just be like, we were having fun and we were doing this and that, and then one of us tripped and our head hit the wall. I thought, shut up. Another
Bites
one.
the dust.
Oh, Lupin! Yes! Na, 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 na,
It's like a French anime or something?
No. This is actually a Japanese anime based on Arsène Lupin Arsene's the Third. Arsène Lupin the Third. And you got Jigen, you got Fujiko, you got Lupin, and you have...
it's not creepy at all.
No, it's not. When
When you love somebody, it works.
Also, he's a world-renowned thief. He's supposedly the greatest thief in the world.
As Chris Porter said on this recent thing, it's like, guys need to stop being crazy. And how you know the difference between crazy is like when you're infatuated with someone and you're actually crazy. Like there's two different ways. Like infatuation is when you like somebody a lot, you care about them, and you kind of wonder what they're doing. Crazy is when you go find out.
That's Lupin. Lupin is crazy. I mean, he's the greatest thief in the world, and he looks at it as a challenge. He was once tasked to steal the crown jewels, but he was not allowed. He was not allowed to enter the vault. He was not allowed to enter the vault with a He was not allowed to enter the vault from the front door. He couldn't enter the vault from the front door, and you can't dig through because, honestly, there's sensors everywhere. So he figured out a way to do it by not actually being in the vault at all. Lupin himself couldn't enter the vault. So, instead, he had someone else go in. I think it was Fujiko at the time because he made a deal to cut Fujiko in like a 30% deal, and she renegotiated. She's like, "I'll give you a kiss on the cheek if you knock it up to 50." And he's like, "Done."
Jesus.
Because, Fujiko plays Lupin a lot. I mean, she's stolen so much shit from him.
Yeah, I mean, that's a dumb dude.
He is. He's dumb as hell, but he's a very talented thief. He once married a girl. On a whim because she said that she loved him. Turns out all she wanted was just to get one over on him because she wanted to be renowned as a thief herself. And she did. She got one over on him. And he was just like, And I thought I was falling in love with her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he take any lessons from that?
No. He never learns his lessons when it comes to women. He's French, dude. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
That's the excuse. That's the excuse. He's half Japanese, half French.
Okay.
All right. What's next, Nick?
Last one from the Gimpster.
All right. Gimpster, thank you. Thank you, Gips. What the hell is this? Is he trying to master how to do a backflip? Oh! The deer just killed the principal. Oh! He's wearing a vest. There you go. Tackle that bastard. There you go. Suplex. What the hell? His ball is... the rest of his hair was a toupee. Why not just do the whole thing? Never mind. It's anime. Why even ask questions? Go ahead. And after that, we'll do the Axiom pictures that Rome wants to show off.
No, I didn't want to show off. I just wanted to give us something to talk about.
Yeah, I hear you.
An update.
Oh.
I'm excited about it.
Okay.
One of my favorite memes.
What the fuck is that? What is that? Ma! Put the dogs away. There's something in the backyard. Ma, put the fucking dogs away. There's something in the backyard.
Ma, it's that weird fucking cat again.
Ah! Ah! What the fucking... He's back! Oh! Ma! Call the fucking cops! That fucking cat is back!
He's such a cute cat.
He is. He got big eyes. It looks like grandma the fucking thing.
Blink, motherfucker!
It's one of my favorite parts. Blink, motherfucker. Ma! Ma, I don't want...
There's like 6 parts to that, so we gotta check those out.
Well, they're by Michael Rappaport, who I always thought was a pretty funny guy. He's a born and bred New Yorker.
Definitely is an accent. Yeah, well.
All right.
All
right, Nick, yeah, pull up the pictures, and we'll have a little bit of a...
we can discuss some of the stuff and get, I guess, an update on that.
Yeah.
So.
Make it full screen, which is down at the bottom right. There you go.
So,
and now you can, and then, yeah, and now you can just hit the arrows to go over to the next ones whenever we, okay.
Explain why we have this random lady on the screen.
Okay, so this is the main protagonist of Axiom, at least at the moment. So she is a special forces operative, basically for a more or less. So you know, like Oni and Halo.
Yeah,
where it's like this super kind of secretive intelligence agency.
Yeah,
part of the military. My equivalent of that is Odin, Office of Defense Intelligence, and so under this government agency would be the Spectres, which is refer to my thing. Special purpose, enhanced combat tactics, and reconnaissance.
Okay.
So these guys are more or less, they are my Spartans. I guess
okay.
They receive. They're not. It's not as extreme, I would say, as Spartans, as far as like they're not kidnapped when they're fucking children.
Yeah, they're volunteers.
Nothing but they're volunteers. But they do get in like a lot of physical and neurological augmentations and stuff like that.
Of course.
Make them as enhanced as possible. Anyways, so this is Rydina Blickstrid Okomoko Wardrick. She's got a long combat name. Basically, Blickstrid is kind of the last name she goes by.
And then, of course, I'm looking at the first letters. Arbow. Arbow. RBOW.
I'll be honest.
Arbo.
Instead of the W, I was trying to find a name with an M and put that.
Arbom?
No, Rambo. I was trying to make an acronym
That's
for
good.
Rambo.
REMBO.
I haven't found a good M name yet to replace the Wardrick thing. So and all
Matilda?
of no, I mean the names have to. Well, one the person with the last name needs a guy. I don't want to call him Matilda. That's not gonna happen.
Okay.
But the way my naming system works, I use a website called Behind the Name, and literally you can find pretty much any name that's ever been conceived on it, and that's how I've been using my naming conventions because it goes through and shows what names mean, like William and John and stuff like that, the more or less kind of the basic definitions of them, and so I've used that to a lot of degree for the general naming convention. So for Rydina, I took a lot of she kind of personifies a ninja to some degree.
Yeah.
She uses
That's a notification.
Yeah.
Sorry.
She uses a Chikuto, which modern day, I guess you could call it a ninjato, which is basically a Japanese straight sword.
Yeah.
The traditional name for it is a Chikuto, and a Tanto, basically a straight Tanto. That's her kind of backup. That's her melee weapons.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, and she's got a disposable throwing knives as well.
Yeah. Actually, Nick, if you can click in on her, just double click on her, just zoom in a little bit so you can see more detail.
The sword on her back. You can't see the Tanto, but it's kind of parallel with
actually
her
you can
back.
see the little tip of it right there at
It's
the
a little
back.
bit, yeah, it's
she actually can pull it out of the left side.
Yeah. So the way she's supposed to basically bring them up, I have the image elsewhere. It was on the poster and stuff.
Yeah.
But these images, they are updated, but I'm still last 6 or so weeks I've been working on concept art, across all my characters and stuff. But it's still taking a lot. I mean, it's a lot of time consuming stuff going into it, and also busy doing other stuff around the studio. So a lot of these images are still kind of rough around the edges. So
yeah,
forgive me on that. But so you can see she's got a sword on her back and a shorter one on her back here. Now, some context as to why, as far as swords are a lot of times they're used in sci-fi. It's the argument for that is
close quarters combat.
Yeah, exactly.
Is the primary reason for that. She's not going to pull it out on the field whenever in the middle of an assault rifle fire.
And that's why she's holding a battle rifle, basically. So to give you some context on what the setting is, the book that I'm currently working on, which my focus has been on concept art, I'm literally only like 8 pages in the book because I haven't worked on it enough, unfortunately. So,
well, yeah, you're focused on like character building.
To be fair, I wrote a book. It was like 700 pages, and I spent like a year or so in editing, and I ended up having so many changes that I just had to basically start from scratch. So that was unfortunate. So technically, I've already written a book, but it's irrelevant now. So I'm in the process of rewriting it and fine-tuning things. But I have a groundwork to work from, so which is a good foundation. Anyways, setting for this is 2615 CE. So a little over under 600 years from now. I didn't want to be in the 2500s just because that's where most sci-fi's.
Yeah, you wanted to be in the century
like Halo
after.
And all those other.
No, I can dig that. I can dig that big time.
So I wanted to be a little bit further along, but so in this environment, the defense mechanisms, they're not just energy shields, and we've talked about this before, but I'll explain it if we have time. Their defense mechanisms are advanced at a point where firearms are not necessarily going to be a one-shot kill unless you're using like a heavy sniper rifle or something like that. An enemy that has the proper defense mechanisms will be able to withstand multiple hits and stuff, and so they can get into cover even if they're shot and stuff. Those rounds won't be able to penetrate through their armor or their other defenses, and so it's going to be in a situation where these people can be in cover, and it'll be a lot of it'll draw down to a lot of close quarters engagement.
Yeah,
they obviously have their sidearms, but I wanted to have that melee thing is in a nice staple of sci-fi. And especially as long as if you have an explanation behind it. The explanation being the general one, I'm kind of going with the one that you see a lot is like Dune and stuff. The defenses make it where firearms aren't the be all end all. You get close, and so there's all kinds of weapons. Now I've kind of broke it up into 3 categories, and these have gradually changed over time. The type of weapons that she's wearing, using the swords, they basically create like a particle accelerator along the blade edge.
Yeah, it effectively it's kind of superheats it, or
that was the thing.
superheats it.
Initially, it was supposed to be plasma, but after watching some stuff from Because Science on lightsabers and why you would not want to use them, I decided to switch away from plasma over to a particle accelerator, because a particle accelerator doesn't necessarily, as long as it's confined in an area, it doesn't have to necessarily generate the enormous amounts of heat that plasma do that would literally set the air on fire around the sword.
Yeah.
But basically the idea of this is when it does come into contact with material, it will superheat it and basically slice through it like a hot knife through butter, basically.
Yeah.
If you think of almost like a chainsaw, but with particles instead of a chain, in the way it would work. So that's one type. Another type are kind of your high frequency blades, the vibro blades.
Yeah. It vibrates super fast to where it effectively makes it into like a super chainsaw, like a super fast chainsaw that just cuts through everything.
And doing some research on it, the analogy of it is kind of like the turkey cutter saw, whatever.
Yeah, the little buzz saw,
but the thing is with those kind of things is the handle is much larger than the blade, and that's because the vibrations just from that blade they give off vibrate the handle. Now imagine a blade that's this fucking long and a handle that's short. How much vibration?
Well, yeah, unless you have like servos in there to counteract it,
right?
Which
and it's subject to shattering and stuff if the material's not properly.
Yeah.
So to kind of give a why do these 2 types of blades work? These vibrating type high frequency blades and these particle accelerator blades. Why not just have one? To kind of separate it, I made it where the plasma type, the particle accelerator weapons, they're more of the slashing type, where you're going to be hitting along the blade edge, whereas the vibrating type ones are going to be more piercing weapons, like a rapier or a lance or something like that.
Yeah.
Especially blades that start out at like a wide base and narrow to a point. It creates a structure that would allow frequency waves that move up that blade to gradually get shorter and shorter just naturally, and it wouldn't risk the integrity of the blade as much. Obviously, some of the stuff is there's still a lot of hand wavium to it.
Yeah.
But it kind of generates a little bit more. Okay, that makes sense.
It fits within the rule of cool.
Yeah.
It fit, and
exactly.
that's
I do have to kind of you have to roll with the rule cool. I do want to try and make things somewhat realistic, but the rule cool is also a good factor.
Well, yeah, and that's one thing that Stahelski and Leach said about John Wick. I mean, they wanted it to be hyper realistic, but at the same time, the sacrifice for the rule of cool.
Yeah, do you want to be realistic, or do you want to have Keanu Reeves fighting a fucking sword battle on motorcycles running down a highway?
Yeah,
the dudes.
Rule of cool.
Yeah.
Rule
exactly.
of cool, yeah.
So that's those 2 weapons. Those are kind of bladed weapons. The third class of weapon are your gravity weapons. You're basically any kind of bludgeon weapon that you can think of: a mace, a hammer, tonfas. Those are kind of where you could have
Konabos and shit like that. Yeah.
And gravity is like the artificial type gravity stuff. It's just something that I play with a lot in here. A lot of sci-fis. They kind of just have artificial gravity or anti-gravity without really discussing it, describing it at any point, but 2, capitalizing on what kind of technologies you could have with the ability to manipulate gravity. Obviously we have like the gravity hammer in Halo. That's a cool weapon. So that's kind of where a lot of the idea for that certainly came from, but the way that gravity manipulation is used is a lot more expansive as far as being able to obviously you have your weapons, but you could use it in fusion technology, and for people that are going to be across all these different planets and stuff. I didn't want to create a situation where you have 500-600 years past for humanity, or closer to like 300 or 400 years by the time we're colonizing other planets in the story. But all that time for those generations to develop on all these different worlds with all kinds of different gravity, people are going to be it's going to be a big mess of different types of people. I didn't really want to have that because it's going to kind of make things a little messy. And so I envisioned a type of system where if you're inhabiting a world or station or something or not a station, but like a moon that has less than half of Earth's gravity or more than 1.5 times Earth's gravity, you would have gravity, basically artificial gravity in the flooring that would more or less stabilize. Even on a heavy world, you would have basically an anti-gravity kind of something to counteract that planet's gravity in a certain area.
Yeah, you'd have something that is effectively how they could do it is have these little miniature what do they call? They're like they use them to test with astronauts to simulate G's.
Like the big centrifuges?
Yeah, big centrifuge. Instead, what you'd have is like micro ones that are spinning super fast to relieve the gravitational pull from certain panels, and you could have those all throughout. Yeah, because actually, not Mass Effect, but Dead Space actually had something similar. They had one where the floors actually malfunctioned, and you had to avoid those because they would shoot you up into the ceiling and kill you.
Fucking cool.
Yeah, those were awesome.
I don't know if that is actually a thing where if you just have centrifuges running under something, it changes the gravity.
You effectively what you're wanting to do is relieve the gravitational tension from the space in which your characters are going to be.
Yeah.
In which for that you'd have to have something that effectively not causes a singularity, because whenever you cause a singularity, that throws off time dilation and all that, which that's a whole physics problem for physicists.
Yeah.
But in terms of this, what you want is something that imitates counter rotation. That imitates the counter rotation that gives part of us what we have on this planet, part of our gravity. You see, we get an initial amount of gravity from the mass, but we also get a good amount of gravity from our rotation.
Yeah.
So if you can have something to counterbalance that can be used to push up or push down, then yeah, I can see that.
I'll try and give like the basic fundamentals of this, and then we'll get back to the characters.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the way that gravity works in here, I have an acronym for it, and because I kind of like to put little fourth walls in my story and stuff.
Yeah.
So the technology, this is like 4 pages of acronyms right here. I have a serious problem, but I like my acronyms. The one that I used for this gravity manipulation, the technology, the Mass Effect, if you will, is called MAGIC. The acronym being Metastable Accretive Graviphotonic Intermolecular Condensate. Now that sounds like some Star Trek techno babble, and it pretty much is. But basically, the key word in there is graviphotonic. So what I wanted to try and at least provide explanations for even the most theoretical technologies, faster than light and artificial gravity and stuff. And so I did, I've done a bunch of research into, mainly perusing Wikipedia on different, aspects of how could you have artificial gravity, things like that.
Is it a possibility?
Yeah, and there's certainly speculative theories in there. Obviously, it kind of comes down to acknowledging the idea of a technology that we haven't really discovered yet. But I wanted to use something, things that we already are working on. And so there's something, in Halo, like the light bridges and stuff like. Basically, most of their structures are made out of what's called solid light.
Yeah.
You see it a lot in other things like hard light.
There's also examples of it even in ancient Norse mythology.
Yeah.
Norse mythology, elven light was actually so thick and so rigid it could be walked upon,
right.
and actually that's in the new God of War movie or God of War game, which is actually pretty cool.
So now, so in I think it was like 2014, scientists at Harvard and MIT. They were actually studying, basically shooting photons into a cloud of supercooled gas. I think it was like rubidium or something.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is as the photons are moving through this gas, they are literally slowed down from like your typical 300,000 kilometers per second down to like a meter per second or something, where it's like fucking super slow. I don't even know what it exactly looks like. This kind of environment is so controlled and contained that any kind of malfunction or something would mess it up. But what they found is that the photons would actually, when they basically fall into this condensate, they form into like a crystalline structure somehow. They more or less turn into kind of a photonic molecule. Not sure again, exactly
it effectively solidified the supercooled solution and turned it into something more rigid.
Basically, yeah, it's multiple photons that form into something it's not supposed to be, which is a molecule.
Yeah,
into a structure.
Which effectively they actually do not. It not so much with the solidity and rigidity, but in terms of like changing the consistency of something. The frosted glass, when they have those meeting rooms that you flip a switch and the glass goes from clear to frosted, that's actually something within the internal structure of the glass that once you introduce electricity into it, it actually causes the frosting effect.
Yeah.
And then whenever you disable it, then it goes back to clear.
That's gonna kind of play a key role, not necessarily the frosting, but having electricity.
Yeah, and that's so
you have this solid light, and you're not going to use it to make lightsabers or walk on light bridges, anything with the stuff. At least how we believe, but it is believed that it could be used for something like quantum computing and stuff like that. Which is interesting. That would be really cool because photons are more or less a quantum particle the way they exist.
Exactly.
So we have solid light. Let's say the technology advances that. We've also got the Large Hadron Collider, which has been, it's been used to discover things like the Higgs boson, which is theorized to be more or less the Higgs field is something that more or less determines mass.
Yeah, it determines mass. And
what mass?
It answers one of the questions about string theory.
Right. And so again, this is some very speculative hand waving, but let's say what I have in mind is sometime in the 2100s, an experiment is done where they basically they create a solid light in a more or less in some sort of volume, place it into a particle accelerator, and cause these particle impacts inside this volume that causes Higgs bosons to form.
Yeah.
When I should have mentioned when supposedly when this like these solid light structures form, other things can happen to it. Like there's strange characteristics that they can basically kind of develop.
Yes.
And so the idea is that in this solid light matrix, you send these Higgs bosons into there. The solid light structure more or less inherits the mass the mass properties that a Higgs boson has before it decays away.
Yeah.
And what it creates is a particle that's theorized called a graviphoton. It's similar to what you've heard of like a graviton before.
Yeah.
A graviphoton is basically something that's theorized that it could more or less be used to shift like the gravity well of a massive object, a particle or something.
So in terms of it switches the poles effectively, it like does full reversal.
Well, it's not really a magnetic thing. It's more of it's been a while since I've looked up the as far as research. This was done a long time ago, like a year or two ago.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't remember exactly everything that's detailed. But the graviphoton is more or less. It's again, it's all theoretical, but it's a possible explanation for how gravity more or less functions.
Yeah, what you're saying is you can create these things that could effectively reverse the gravitational pull for anti-gravity,
possibly, yeah.
or enhance the gravity for more correct gravity on lower gravity.
If you guys are interested, you can look it up. Type in graviphoton. It's only like a 2 or 3 paragraph thing on Wikipedia, but it kind of gets the gist of what
I could see the research done with that. I mean, there's effectively, the super collider, because right now you got to think the super collider, the hadron collider, it's quite possibly one of the most advanced pieces of technology that humanity has right now. And it actually, by it doing what it does, it is answering a lot of the questions about string theory and about the building blocks of everything, like the little supposed string theory, the little strings of energy that hold everything together. And with what you're also saying about the super cooled solution being able to withhold all these things, withhold the light, and thus form a more solid structure. What the Higgs boson, I mean, introducing the two, I mean, it would be very interesting to see what would happen.
So the last element of this would be, so you have basically this new graviphoton basically held in a condensate, hence the C in magic. It's metastable. You basically create a containment structure for it. So the last element kind of borrows a little bit from Mass Effect, where then you pump electricity through this structure.
Yeah.
And it just basically depends on the whether it's positive or negative, and the amount of
charge you want on it.
So as you pump positive electrical charge through it,
it increases.
The gravity effect that it has will increase.
Yeah.
So thus in a 0G environment, you could create artificial gravity.
Whereas if you do the negative under more extreme circumstances, you could effectively do anti-gravitational.
Right. I call it endo and exogravity just to be a little different. Basically, it's your run-of-the-mill anti-gravity and artificial gravity and that kind of stuff.
Interesting.
And so, this far down the line, the technology, 600 years from now, the technology has evolved to a point where you can put it in melee weapons. You can, the containment structures are built durable enough to withstand heavy impact. So when you hit somebody with say a mace or something, or you'll see, I don't actually have the character that has the what is it? I can't remember what I called it. Kabuto.
Oh yeah, the Kanabo.
Kanabo, that's right. Kanabo.
Yeah,
I don't have the image, but
you don't have him with the Kanabo, but you do have the character.
Yeah, I have the character on there, but something like that. When he impacts, rather than just the force that he can put behind it, now you're times and multiplying it by 10. So this thing is a bone crusher of a weapon.
Yeah, it can break down anything you put in front of it, pretty much.
Exactly.
And so, in terms of the characters, you actually have a comprehensive list of all the characters.
Yeah, they're basically. I've been making the story from the aspect of it could be a video game as well, or a book, or a film. Ideally, a video game in ways because of just the interactiveness and how many options you would have with it.
Well, yeah, and I could actually see this. Imagine, if you will, BioWare, instead of dedicating all their stuff towards Anthem, instead dedicated it towards this kind of stuff, and actually make good gameplay out of it. But oh well.
That's what's grown with his cast of characters that I've seen so far. It looks like he could make a really cool MOBA out of all the characters he has.
Well, MOBAs are one thing. I could see a character action one as well, where you actually choose the different characters and the different, and you actually take them through the same scenarios, but they would go through different pathways where they're different style warriors.
I'll allow a little more for the tech he's come up with to play into it, because MOBA, the only thing about MOBAs is your defense tech wouldn't be quite as neat in that kind of game and gameplay.
Right.
And it could still be a thing, because you could have the shield systems and stuff. It's
a lot of it can kind of come down to visual representations.
MOBA's pretty simplified, so.
Yeah.
So we have Rydina, who's been on the screen for the most of it.
So the characters that you'll see here, except for the one that comes after this. So she is the leader of a team.
Alpha 1 of the
So the Spectre Legion is what she's a part of.
Yeah,
and this it's a division size element. About 6,000, 7,000 operatives are part of it.
And her primary role is a rifleman or designated marksman. So at least that's what.
And she's the team leader.
Yeah, she's the team leader, and she's effectively just the head honcho of the entire of this squadron. So. And then next on the list, which is the one you actually see, she listed on here anywhere?
She's actually at the back of the list. So
okay,
yeah. So real quick. So she uses a battle rifle. She's the team leader. Go back.
Back to the
she's got the white and blue armor. She's that's kind of the colors of the flag of the Federal Republic of the United Nations at this point is what it is.
Yeah.
United Humanity. These are so she's very, her family is very military oriented. She's a patriot to some degree. Obviously she can think for herself and make her own decisions and stuff like that, but she's very patriotic. So but yeah, anyways, and she also uses two kick-ass dual revolvers.
Yeah, which that's what's on her hips.
Yeah,
so yeah,
they're basically like 3 stacked round cylinders, whatever, like 18 round revolvers.
Yeah.
And they can either fire, single shot, or they can fire in burst mode.
That's cool. Yeah. All right, almost like a RoboCop gun.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
All right, what's next, Nick?
So this is
Norlin
McMage. So she is Scottish.
Yeah, Norlin, absolutely.
So the inspiration for this character, I should have said go back to Rise real quick, one more time. Sorry. So the inspiration for this character, just to kind of give you an idea, a little bit from Ruby.
Yeah.
Korra from The Legend of Korra.
I get that.
Nikita from the show Nikita.
Lifim Nikita, yeah.
Well, like the TV show.
Yeah.
And a couple others that are kind of mixed, a little bit from a bunch of other people. But there's a lot of different inspirations come from that. Go to the next one.
All right, next one.
So this character right here, she is an engineering scientist.
Norlin?
The inspiration for her comes from Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn.
Yes.
As well as Samantha Carter from SG-1. From SG-1.
And it says here, tech specialist, scientific advisor. So
that's something that I have planned later in the story. That would be the Predator Legion, or I'm sorry, that's the old name. Spectre Legion operates in they're a segment of the Office of Defense Intelligence. Another aspect is basically the equivalent of what DARPA is. They're the scientific wing. That's what she is. She's a kind of a civilian contractor for what's called Destiny, the Department of Engineering, Science, Technology, Innovation, and Exploration. Basically, they do all the science and engineering, cool exploration stuff.
Very cool.
So she's part of that. So that's where like the inspiration from Sam Carter and Aloy and stuff kind of come from. She specializes in gravity. Gravity manipulation, engineering, and FTL physics. So, or superluminal physics would be the thing. So she has a lot of cool involvement with the weapon she's holding right there. It's a gravity rifle, basically, that it's a very experimental type system. It's been this technology would have been tested before this, but it would have been found to just be a pretty short range type weapon.
Yeah.
She has basically devised a method of making it much more long range by basically taking, how you would have a laser is to light. She would basically create a gravity laser to some degree, like a confined gravity,
like a super concentrated,
concentrated gravity that can go much further out, because like light, gravity falls off at an inverse square.
Yes.
So depending on how much force you're putting out at a certain point, is going to become less effective. But if you can confine that into a very focused beam, then it won't diffuse away nearly as quickly, and it could
if anything, it'll stabilize as it travels, and you won't lose as much.
And it'll have devastating effects when it gets downrange. So
nice.
That's what she's working on.
Nice. All right.
There's not much I'm still developing her. Again, she's a civilian, so she doesn't have all the cool armor and stuff yet.
Yeah. All right. Next one, Nick. Neonami.
So this is Neonami Pericles. So the inspiration that came from her is, I would say, Pyrrha from Ruby.
Yeah.
For the Greek aspect. And what's her name? Lena Oxton, Tracer.
Yeah,
from
Tracer.
Overwatch. From that vivaciousness.
Her character you said was Australian, correct?
She's Australian with she's part Greek, part Australian.
Yeah,
because that's why
sort of like Michael Katsidis.
So she embodies whereas Raidina embodies the ninja. Again, Raiden is kind of also the inspiration for that too. Whereas Raidina is embodies the ninja in terms of the way she fights in combat. Neo embodies a Spartan.
Well, and also I see her arm there with a kukuri.
So that is actually it's called a kopis. The kukuri was inspired by the kopis, and the kopis was inspired by a different weapon. I think it was Egyptian of origin, but it might have been a kopesh. But maybe. So she uses basically like a kind of a type of shield system that more or less it's like the most advanced form that pretty much takes up like that would be the standard shield that a Spartan would use. I forget what the exact name is at the moment, but she is I would say she's very vivacious, and again I have to make these characters realistic. I'm not saying I don't want them to come off as like I'm sexualizing the characters or anything, but she likes to have fun. She likes to sleep around. She's very much the kind of she would be the dominant person in that kind of situation, though. She's kind of a hit it and quit it kind of character.
Fair enough.
In her front. Anyways,
yeah. I bet I've ran into people like that.
She's also very she's got an attitude. She's the close quarters specialist on the team. So she's got a big triple barreled breech loader shotgun on her shoulder there. It's uses stacked ammunition to give her more ammo, but she's kind of the heavy hitter in close quarters.
Yeah, close quarters combat specialist.
So she also uses a dory, a spear, and that kopis for close quarters. And stuff.
Yeah, I see that. We actually see the tip of the spear right behind her left arm. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, it's the back. I found with working with these characters, the back is prime real estate, and I got to be careful.
Well, of course it is.
With what all I get,
especially if you have like advanced tech that can hold these things in place. And then whenever you need them, you grab on and you just pull them out, and then they can extend and form whatever you want them, form whatever weapon you want them to.
I will say the armor that you see them in right now, this is kind of like basic combat armor. This isn't some that they'd be wearing into combat normally, or like only in a light combat situation. Their usual combat suit is going to be much more like Mjolnir in Halo, where it's like that heavy,
more
thick,
heavy
suit with large armor plating kind of stuff. So they are able to carry a lot more gear on them usually. So
that's good. All right. So next character, we have actually quite the shift.
This will be our first alien here.
Yeah.
So this is Atomic Jaeger.
Yes.
He is a Lycran. Basically, in the setting, humans haven't come in contact quite yet. I haven't nailed it down yet, but at least what I'm working with current right now is that humans haven't come in contact with an advanced active civilization, something that doesn't exist yet, or like that is thriving at the moment.
Yes,
they've come across several planets that have hunter-gatherer or maybe pre-industrial age type societies, as well as several destroyed civilizations that are either abandoned or dead.
Effectively, it'd be like humanity if the Black Plague would have finished us off, or if we would have initiated World War III in the Cuban Missile Crisis and we have destroyed ourselves.
Pretty much, yeah.
So
So the Lycrans are the latter of that kind of situation, where they what ended up happening was the Lycrans more or less used most of the resources up on their planet. and ended up. It's, a nuclear war is never, as much as we like to hype it up as this apocalyptic thing, it's never going to be enough to wipe out a species that is advanced, at least as advanced as we are.
Yeah.
Odds are we are adaptable.
We are. We're very adaptable. I mean, there's people who have who've bought bunkers that can last them well over 100 years.
So
to which the nuclear winter fallout would last probably, I think they said 50 to 60 years.
Right.
And they would outlast that and their ancestors, or maybe them if they're lucky enough to live that long.
The thing about Fallout, though, is it also falls off pretty quick, too.
It does.
I think there's something about like how it falls off, like in sevenths or whatever. If you get a certain amount of distance, every 100 meters or something, the radiative effects at the impact, the blast site falls off like every, falls up by a seventh. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But
no, I get what you're saying.
Anyways,
every time that happens, it makes me jump a little bit.
Yeah, it's because we're so quiet.
Yeah.
But so it would have been a factor of nuclear war, ecological disaster, and biological warfare, to a point where there were so few survivors, there weren't enough, that they were too spread out and too few of them to effectively
repopulate the planet.
So
and effectively, what since they went extinct, you stated that you have to where humans find enough genetic DNA to where they are able to.
Yeah, there's an explanation for that. The axiom structure is it's pretty complex. I don't want to get too much into what the axiom structure is. Basically, it's kind of we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah,
but they more or less, humans by this point they've more or less perfected, or
they're basically Jurassic Park data.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they more or less
I can see that
have
the inspirations.
Near perfect or perfect cloning technology and genetic modification technology, to a point where they're able to basically bring them back through artificial wombs and stuff like that.
Yeah, and they produce enough with enough genetic diversity to where they're actually able to spread across their planet again, or spread across the universe again.
Yeah, basically with human support, they're more or less revived with human, basically human technological level, helping them out pretty much. There's, it's kind of a situation where they're able to find the genetic material, but it's been so long, something like 2,500 years or something since the Lycrans died out, that there's not really anything else left of their civilization. There's just basically the most barest of ruins. So when the Lycrans, when humans are able to bring these people back, they don't really. There's not a whole lot of culture. What time are we at?
We're at I think almost 2 hours.
Oh shit!
No, we can do a speed run real quick.
So,
we've done like 4 of the main characters right here.
Yeah, there's 4 more, but yeah.
And of course, Nick, we'll go through the next ones. Like you give, I'll read off what their main thing is here, and then you can give an explanation of what their primary character traits are.
Yeah. So, long story short, so basically, they at first didn't have a culture really to work off. So there's no really choice. They basically learned human culture and human. So this guy is actually one of the few people that is actually from Earth. Like his family, his Lycran family, they basically were working on Earth, and he was born in Texas.
There you go.
So,
all right, what's up, Nick?
I was just gonna say, looks like you might have already sold a couple copies of your book.
Well, there you go.
And that's kind of the
he's very invested in this, and Azure says he's hoping it does well.
And that's why I wanted to get the concept art too, because having a visual aid like that makes it a lot easier for people to see what I'm, my vision.
Absolutely,
what I'm trying to
and they're able to see what eventually the final vision, they'll have a taste of it. I mean, right now the effort you put in on these is amazing. I mean, as for the next few characters, we're gonna sort of speed run through them. Go ahead, Nick, with the next one. We have
So this is Osamu Katsu Remoto. Remoto is his last name.
And his specialty is he has special weapons demolitions and EOD, explosive ordnance disposal.
Yeah. So right now, so on his back, the gun that he's holding, I don't actually. Might be obsolete. The gun he's holding is probably going to go to someone else.
Okay.
I haven't decided what his secondary is. The weapon on his back is actually his primary. This would basically be kind of like. It's more or less a heavy railgun, like a micro Mac, like from a or something.
I could see that. Yeah.
Think of like the Spartan laser.
Yeah, the Spartan. I can see the Spartan laser, and also they did have a railgun in. They did have a railgun in Halo 4 where it actually spun up and like fired.
Yeah,
that
like this is the arm one. This is supposed to be shoulder mounted, kind of.
Kind of like the Predator gun, sort of like the Predator gun.
Well, it's about the size of a rocket launcher.
So
it's supposed to basically be an anti-tank weapon. It puts a lot of kinetic energy down. Right?
Okay.
All of the guns that these guys are holding, they're either some form of coil gun or rail gun. And another day we can talk about how that all works. But
also he messes around. He has that massive Kanabo, which is not pictured here,
it's not on
but
here.
it's effectively a giant gravity Kanabo that can like smash through walls and stuff.
I wanted to be different from the typical gravity hammer.
Well, of course, because a Kanabo, that's a very traditional samurai. That was used to break shields.
Mm-hmm.
That was used to break shields and break down doors.
Yeah.
It was primarily like a full assault weapon, and it did its job. I mean.
It's a weapon that embodies the heavy. So this guy, he embodies the samurai, or and as far as his armor is going to look, he's going to be more like with having the kanabo and everything. It's more like an oni, but
And he also has a sword, which I assume is going to be the katana, particle type.
Probably.
It's a particle type katana. All right, and then moving on to the next one, we have.
So this is Alexandra Sokolova. You think of it as like a Russian heiress to a corporation. Basically, she's a
Russian Weiss.
Basically, yeah. She's very much the inspiration that came from that. But she's less whiny than Weiss.
She's more like a fist first then talk, right?
Yeah. She's more or less her mother didn't want to find somebody to marry and start a family with.
Of course.
So Alexandria is actually not exactly a clone. There's a technology, a genetic engineering technology that's being considered called gametogenesis, where you can basically take stem cells from a person and convert them into either eggs or sperm, regardless of the gender.
And you can effectively it's not a clone of yourself, but it is a reproduction of yourself using your DNA from if you were from a male or a female.
Right.
I've heard about that.
So
That's actually interesting
she's
stuff.
Basically a product of that, and I haven't figured out if what kind of hangups.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard of incest. Prepare for self-cest. I know.
Yeah,
I'm sorry I had to say it.
It's playing around with different concepts and stuff. The technologies and stuff. The fact is, genetic engineering and not necessarily cloning, but genetic engineering is going to be a thing.
Of course. Well, that's just a basic step.
I imagine there will be regulations,
restrictions, and all. I get that.
Basically, she's an heiress. She's through a certain set of circumstances. She's kind of an angry person to some. She's somebody you don't want to piss off.
And also, it says here she is second in command, and she's also a grenadier and aerial reconnaissance specialist.
Yes, think of Raven from Metal Gear Solid 4, that flight system that she uses when she's in like the heavy combat armor.
Yes,
that's what she uses on her back, kind of like Falcon, sort of.
Of course,
yeah. So she's able to fly around. She also uses what's a ghost from Marvel from Ant-Man and the Wasp?
The sort of where she can walk through walls and stuff.
Kind of, yeah. She basically uses some sort of like
kinetic destabilizer.
Yeah, basically like a phase technology sort of. I haven't fully figured out how that's all going to work yet, but pretty much she because you're flying around with the technology at this time. you're going to get shot pretty quick if you're just flying around out in the open. So she has this kind of technology that can help her to some degree. Have like missiles and stuff that her shield's not going to protect her.
No, it won't protect her forever. But if she has technology, it allows her and what she's wearing to phase through, almost like the mutant power of Kitty Pryde.
Exactly.
And I could see that working with there's actually certain scientific thoughts that they've actually shown where they've actually been able to reduce the it's not like full phasing, but they've been able to reduce the solidness or the rigidity of the impact point by actually I forget exactly what they push through it, but it's a certain type of it's an electron destabilizer, so it effectively breaks down molecules to where it actually enables the plastic to, instead of being solidified, it instead becomes more jelly, and it actually enables it to go through. So if you look at an advanced property of that to where that can be actually applied to a living, breathing human being, then that could potentially be something.
I put down on there like quantum tunneling.
Yeah, that could be something.
Yeah,
as well.
it's a really, really extremely rare event, and so it would take a lot of anawavium to roll with that. So but again, phasing is already borderline magic, so that might change.
Yeah,
if it's I've kind of have a rule: if it's just utter absolute bullshit that requires magic to work, that like there's no chance of it ever being possible. I kind of have to be like, all right, this might work for like an extremely advanced.
You'll have to bite your lip and just be like, damn it, so close.
Yeah, I mean, there's technologies that like higher advanced, civilizations, even higher than humans at this time could have that I would certainly be fine with, because again, Arthur C. Clarke, a substantially advanced technology looks like a magic. So
of course, and I believe that.
But,
all right.
Anyways, so she, by the way, she embodies a phoenix to some degree, and as far as the how a phoenix.
All right, Nick, what's next? The next one, Dextra.
So this is Dextra Perdechois. It's French for or lost choice. But she basically was born to parents that were more or less drug addicts. She was born with a lot of birth defects, and she had the technology not been available, she would have died pretty much right after she was born.
Well, you could actually say that she's from New Orleans, because that last name Perdechois is actually it's French.
She is French, but she's actually from her ancestry. People, the way I kind of define people is by their ancestry or where they came from. So her ancestry is French. She's from the planet. It would be in the TRAPPIST system. You've probably heard of that. Or actually no, I think I might have changed it to Luton Star. Luton Star. It's something like 12 light years from here or something like that.
Okay.
Anyways, so she's around that from that planet. But but she has a lot of cybernetic modifications. Think of like Deus Ex kind of.
Deus
level.
Ex,
But
I didn't ask for this.
But I could have, with a style choice, I could have gone with something where she looks, she's got like the cybernetic arms that are very obvious.
You don't not necessarily. I mean, because cybernetic enhancement. I mean, Cyberpunk 2077. I mean, how they're looking to do it. How people are able to hide their cybernetic enhancements in plain sight. Same thing happened with Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus, where BJ Blazkowicz actually gets an entirely new body, and he's actually, and like you can actually see like the lines that actually where the cybernetic enhancements are and everything. Yeah. So I think effectively what you could do is pretty much have it to where it's all under her skin, and she's actually she's embarrassed by it. She's like she can be embarrassed by her like the scars and everything, right? Because to me is something that's
and that's the thing though. But like even then, the technology, she could easily have artificial skin that's perfectly seamless. Yeah, that just covers all of it.
Or and then of course there's the matter of pride that some people have. It's almost like
she I mean, she's on board on it, so it might be hard to see, but on her hair is metallic, and that's because it's actually synthetic cybernetic hair.
Which actually, you have a really cool picture of her where she actually is drawing an arrow from her quiver to fire her into her hand, so she wastes no time firing her bow.
So the hair's individual strands aren't really strong enough to do anything, but when they basically can automatically form into braids, more or less, without her even having to touch it, and they're basically neurally connected to her brain. She basically learned how to operate them just like a third hand, basically.
Yeah.
And so she actually is able to use them to more or less.
I could actually see someone trying to attack her from behind. They grab onto her shoulder, and all of a sudden, her hair just like
you just see it like a needle slide out or something.
Well, not just a needle slide out, but like it latched onto the guy's arm, and he's just like ah. And then then she realizes where his head is from where he's screaming, and then one strand just right through the middle of his head drops, and then he just drops behind her.
Yeah,
I could see that. That actually would be pretty badass.
She is the marksman of the group. I think especially with the French kind of, you could probably tell there's a little bit of inspiration coming from Black Widow there.
Yeah. Widowmaker. Widowmaker.
Yeah, Widowmaker.
And then there's also there's also there's this French movie a long time ago. It actually was like a resistance fighter who specialized as a sniper, and he had a female soldier working with him in the resistance. I forget the name of the damn movie now. But I can actually see her being her being a little bit of an inspiration from that as well. I mean, if I think of it, I'll send it to you, so that way you can sort of get a good grasp on that.
She doesn't really necessarily fit an archetype, except for the silent sniper kind of.
Well, yeah. In truth, there's characters who can be more extroverted. I think with her life and everything she's lived, she would be a little more introverted. She wouldn't be as.
One of the points I imagine come across is if the team ever comes across like a drug den or something, whatever, she loses her shit kind of to some degree, because
sort of like a PTSD,
especially like drug dealers, because it was drugs that caused her parents to basically eventually they would have fallen comatose, more or less. They'd been vegetables in a hospital at one point or another, and so she would have found the idea of like drug dealers and stuff, narcotics, extremely terrible. Anyways, move on to the next. She's a sniper and archer.
Yeah,
that gun that she's holding is not the right one. She's gonna be using a 14.5.
And there's a female
This is literally my princess. Not like
Sarabella.
Yeah, not like whimsical princess or anything, not fairy tale princess. But when the Lycrans are brought back, when the Lycrans are basically revived as a species, and the humans are kind of trying to initially establish how their government structure is going to be. I was initially thinking, is there any room for new monarchies to really exist? Obviously I think the United Kingdom and Sweden and
where it's not as
for a while.
Well, yeah, they're not like full monarchies. They're
constitutional.
Yeah, constitutional monarchies.
But would there be any reason for a new one of those to rise? I don't see it. I mean, except
it really depends on the people in which the society.
I mean, there's potential for it, and I might play around with the idea, like a matriarchy or something like that.
Yeah.
But the Lycrans are an example where it could work, because you got to think when the humans are initially artificially recreating them, basically, they're going to only start with a couple, one male, one female, to make sure they're viable, to mass reproduce, basically. And so these first progenitor Lycrans, new Lycrans, basically be kind of considered the hope for the species. They would, and so it makes sense they would basically be the kind of the royal family or something to some degree.
Okay.
Again, it's it's a symbolic thing. They're not running the country really.
They're just
the
It's almost like a kabuki theater act.
Kind of, yeah, man. It's all for show, but it gives people a sense of unity to some degree. So
I can see that.
She is a descendant in that family. She's a Dutch. I haven't decided if it's gonna be a princess or a Duchess.
Well,
or
you could
what
actually see. I get if you want, you could actually have her be like the third child.
Yeah,
where she's trying to.
She
impress.
might not be. Yeah, and again, she's on a special forces team, so she's probably not the first in line for the throne or something.
No.
Yeah.
Where she's third. She's like the third daughter, and she is pretty much seeking out her own form of of helping and doing stuff.
So she's the non-lethal specialist. She actually uses basically an electro laser. If you ever played the Siphon Filter games,
yes,
where you shot people with lightning and they would set them on fire.
Yes,
her weapon's kind of like that, where you can use it as both a non-lethal and lethal weapon.
Interesting.
So, and her sword is kind of unique. It's basically it's a rapier, but it's formed into sections with an electromagnetic cable that can extend it, basically like a whip, so she can actually, wrap it around people and electrocute.
Not only that, but she could also like do a forward thrust really fast, and it could extend out and get them at a very long distance away.
So she's basically the corpsman, the medic on the team. She takes care of everybody, and she also has an interrogation kit with her as well. So
nice. All right, next one up, Nick, I think is the last one.
I think we also got the AI, but
so
this guy is the tank.
He's the most. Yeah, this is the most recent one you've designed.
Yeah, so this is the other species that humans have revived in this story. I haven't nailed down the if I'm going to go with this yet, but unlike the Lycrans, where they eventually with Lycrans after about 50 or 75 years something, the archaeologists that are just studying the Lycrans trying to find runes and stuff, they actually stumble across like a seed or whatever, like what are those, the time capsule type.
Yeah.
They discover something like that's basically a data storage thing that more or less provides Lycrans with a history for who their species were. So Lycrans, they kind of have this. They'll have this thing developed where they have part human culture, part of their forgotten culture kind of mixed in. The Jotuns, though, they died off a lot earlier in their technological evolution, somewhere in the industrial age, through basically a hyper plague. Their planet is a pretty violent one. Think of these guys are basically like the
Krogan or
the Krogan, like it's a mix of Krogan and Sangheili. They got to a technological point where when a plague hit, they were interconnected enough for that disease to spread, but not scientifically advanced enough to come up with a cure for it before it ended up wiping them out. And so they ended up dying off. Now these guys come from a planet that has twice the gravity of Earth, and so they are big, like their arms are big. They basically right where they're standing is.
And there's six. They have six appendages.
Yeah,
altogether.
So they have four arms.
4 arms and 2 legs.
And so in the pose that they're standing, this guy's standing right now. He'd be about 2.5 meters, about 2 meters. It's hidden behind the other one. It's just the perspective.
Yeah.
So he's got 4 arms and 2 arms, and the reasoning behind that is, you see a lot of these like a heavy gravity world, creatures should typically be smaller, but if you have more appendages to distribute weight across, then you can kind of get away with them being larger, creatures. When this guy, I used a lot of gorilla and bear physiology to kind of come up with this guy. When he comes
with
up,
the arms especially, but the bear, I could actually see like the back legs being inspired by the bear.
This dude is huge.
Yeah. When he comes up on his hind legs, because he can do that. Their planet, they're not exactly the apex predator.
No.
In their food chain.
What cracks me up is the fact that he is huge, but you've chosen to give him camo on his arms.
What's that?
You've chosen to give him camouflage, like on his arms.
Yeah, I mean,
he's huge.
Yeah,
It's pretty hard to
huge.
manage.
Well, that's more of a uniform thing that a camouflage thing. But when they, they're on a pretty vicious world. Very lush, green world. Think of kind of like. Krogan, but in a jungle or something, like that, where the Tachanka or whatever, but it's a jungle world. So they can come onto their hind legs for that intimidation factor, and when they stand, they're about 4 meters tall. They are tall, motherfuckers.
And by meters,
they're 13 to 14 feet tall.
Jesus sage.
Yeah. Now when they come up like that, they're not very good at walking like that. They're pretty clumsy like that. So when they're generally moving around, they're moving around with this knuckle walking thing where
they're well, you got to think. I mean, given their natural walking ability, how they would naturally walk around, that would be their primary way of getting around, and it's almost you see, certain things in nature have an advantage when it comes to speed. A mongoose has a big time advantage when it comes to speed because it is purpose built to be for mobility. Like, it can jump out of the way. A bear, on the other hand, a bear's mobility is limited, especially moving left and right.
Yeah, and that's another thing. So he also has 4 eyes. It's kind of hard to see the ones on the side. He's got his 2 forward facing because he's a omnivore. He's both hunting. He's a predator, but also prey to some degree.
Yeah,
without
you
technology,
see it
he's prey.
Back where the ear would be.
So he's also these species also have eyes on their side, and what that allows is a much higher field of vision, something like 320% degrees. So they can, much easier, much more effectively detect something that's attacking them from the side or from behind and stuff, and react to it. Because turning around their body, it's going to be kind of slow and unwieldy and stuff. So they are fast when they move forward.
Well, it's like bears. Have you ever seen a bear take off full tilt sprint?
Oh yeah, a Kodiak bear can or a polar bear, they can run.
Yeah, they can. They can get up to 30 miles an hour pretty fast.
So as you can see, him being the heavy guy, especially when he's able to, when they're operating on lower gravity worlds, he can carry a lot of heavy gear with him. So he's got like a big chain gun or like a autocannon, Gatling gun, and an auto mortar on it. Basically, because this team has to basically operate with the understanding they're on a planet without any air support or armor or artillery or anything. They have to operate entirely on their own. So they have to be able to engage heavy armored enemies on their own. So,
yes, I can see that.
Yeah, so
it'd be kind of funny if he had human allies with him and they could climb up on that platform on his back.
that might be something that I might play around with, but
lock their guns down on top of his so they have theirs stabilized.
So I'm still working on that's a guy that's still in development.
Yeah, like you said, this is the most recent one that he's designed. Yeah. And then the last one that we have is an AI.
My fun character. So this is just an example of a synthetic intelligence here. This is Beatrix. She is Rydina's companion synthetic intelligence. So,
and as you have her named in here, Vibi.
Yeah, Vibi.
To your left.
Yes.
That's where hence the photos. So somebody asked about that earlier. Basically, these are kind of obsolete photos. A lot of the character models have changed. But a lot. But as you can see, each of the characters in here, they're kind of a lot of these are ones that you've kind of seen here. They've changed, but next to them is a different character that's kind of in more relaxed clothing. Those aren't people; those are actually synthetic intelligences. In this world, everybody, or people that have access to it, have a partner synthetic intelligence. Basically, it's their best friend for life, more or less.
Yeah.
They're fully sentient.
And also Neo over there. I see Neo's is sort of like a Spartan warrior.
Yeah, so he's actually got a surfboard next to him. And so Neo, I forgot to mention, she's all about surfing. She's she's from Australia.
Australia, the big.
Well,
surf.
She's not from Australia. She's Australian, but she's from an ocean world similar to kind of like that environment of the Australian coast.
The Oceania and everything.
So she's she grew up surfing. She's all about it and stuff, and that's where he's basically he's pretty much a Spartan that surfs. So,
nice. Okay.
So, anyways, so I've taken up way too much stuff. What's that?
Build a BFF.
Yeah. So basically, the idea, and I'll make it real quick, and then we can get out of here. I'm sorry. Basically, the way the SIs work is similar to how in Halo the AIs are mapped off a person's brain. It's similar to that, except this is less destructive because they're more or less mapped off a person, off the person they're going to be a partner with. They're mapped off that person really young in age, like 1 or 2, before memories can form. Because once memories form, that SI kind of more or less to some degree has those memories, and it becomes less of a individual intelligence on its own right, and becomes more a copy of that person's intelligence. So they have to do this at a fairly young age of a person. That's kind of where
it becomes kind of its own personality.
Exactly.
Yes.
What if it became a dick?
So there are limitations to it. So scroll back to Rydina real quick.
Very first one.
Yeah. So
bingo.
It's hard to see, at least for you and me, but on her shoulder is that is the black thing with the pink lights coming out of it. That is actually the brain for VB. It's more or less it's about the size of a smartphone. Think of it like that, like on her shoulder. This is pretty much the entire operating system that an SI functions from. But they are, they as much information as they can bring in, there are limitations to the data they can hold. And so they use like cloud data and stuff for a lot of their extra excess memory that they don't necessarily have from day to day, because they can access it through whatever the future equivalent of the internet would be at that point. There are obviously systems in place to prevent these SI from becoming rogue and stuff. But what I like the idea of the one that I think the idea of the AI always has to revolt and overtaking humanity. I think that's kind of, again, it's like nuclear war. It's overhyped. We don't know necessarily what AI are going to do. I think it's going to be a lot more boring than what people fear it's going to be. It's not going to be Terminator or something like that.
Elon Musk thinks it's not going to be good.
What I like the idea though is if an SI becomes rogue, this is where the advantage of copying individual brains and making these SI individualistic, because they more or less can operate, even though they can think and function at a much faster rate and communicate with each other on a much faster rate. They will ultimately have their own personal beliefs and stuff like that, even if it's just programming. I mean, there's not really much, there's humans are programmed, or we function off programming. We're living biological computers, and so if you look at it from that context, these SI, even if you have a one or a group of SI that go rogue, there's not going to be a collective. It's not like they all have to follow this rule. So you could have these rogue SI that are not going to be able to computationally compete against a loyal group of SI that are much larger. They would just be able to. They would get outthought in a battle, whatever cyberspace battle that would be. And there's also other systems. There's another tool that I guess a mechanized wolf kind of thing that the team is going to have at their disposal. I don't have the model for it yet, but it's a dumb AI, like a programmed AI, that's designed to kind of counter synthetic intelligence as well. It doesn't have sentience, but it has a lot of defensive mechanisms that can more or less fight rogue AI. So, yeah. Anyways, all right. Well, sorry.
Cool stuff.
I apologize.
Very cool stuff. No, it's good stuff.
You could have me talking for hours and hours. Dude.
I hear you. Anyways. One day maybe we will, man. Yeah. One day we'll do like a big meeting call with some big investors, and they'll be like, all right, how does $500,000 sound?
That's what I want to do. I'm only doing a book really because it's cheap and it only requires me.
Yes.
But I'm writing it in a way that can easily be translated into a film, and it operates with a lot of things that can translate into game mechanics. So,
absolutely.
It's very much want it to be a multimedia type platform.
I understand that. I've been there. All right, so
sorry.
So Nick, we have some memes saved.
Oh, sorry.
2 memes. A few.
One from Freelancer Matt and 2 from the Gibbs.
Nice. All right, go for it.
Sorry, buddy.
You're good. You're good, man. Oh no.
I am friend dog. I return ball. That is my duty. No, that is my purpose.
I fetch the serve.
As ball returns to me, I will subsequently return ball. I am friend dog. This is my purpose.
You're like, Clarence, you're acting awfully strangely. It's like, Clarence does not compute. I am friend God.
I am friend Clarence.
Were you replaced by reprogramming? I am friend Clarence.
As per your want, I am friend Clarence.
Something's wrong with my dog, Doctor.
That's messed up.
Speaking human words?
Yeah.
I am friend Clarence. Then the doctor's like, no, he is friend dog.
Yeah.
He is fine.
I am friend Doctor. Is it possible my dog was replaced by an animatronic puppet meant to sell pizza and video games at a children's park?
What is this, Five Nights at Freddy's? Jesus. All right.
I have reached the singularity.
All right, what's next?
Everybody's afraid of the singularity.
Follow any of this. Look, it's really simple. I'm the son of the king of Britannia. And why are you in Japan? Let me break it down for you. Every nation belongs to one of three major empires. Britannia, the Chinese Federation, Britannia, Santa Maria, Kazakhstan, Britannia, Alderaan, Britannia, Corneria, and Britannia. I don't even know why I bothered to ask. My dad is the current king of Britannia. This job is bitchin' good. With Dad being the king and all, one wife really wasn't his thing. Unfortunately, it was only too late that he discovered the downside of having too many wives. I gotta watch one more episode of Bridezillas, I'm gonna saw my own arm off. See, me and Natalie have the same mother. Natalie, we have to kill the Tooth Fairy!
Every day I pray I was adopted.
We had a ton of half brothers and sisters who all lived with us at Dad's place. And my God, we were mother-licking adorable. For the most part, we tolerated each other. However, sometimes we got on each other's nerves. In my defense, she would not let go of that plate. Of course, there was that one half-brother. Never mind. Anyway, one day I went along with Dad on a diplomatic trip to Japan. You see, Japan used to be a great independent nation led by a great man. There was only one flaw. His son. I can live entirely on a diet of crayons and lighter fluid. After one tragic slip and slide incident, I decided we should return home. Only to find that my mother had gone and gotten herself shot.
That's not.
From there, I was sent back to Japan, where I thought my father would miss me. What was I thinking about just now? Thinking about Japan. We're taking over Japan. Booyah. Meanwhile, Suzaku was determined when he grew up to win the war between Japan and Britannia. Unfortunately, he signed up for the wrong side. Not surprised. Yes, but what is surprising is that even with Suzaku...
Japania.
Japania.
Britpan.
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 One too many Jack and Cokes.
Welcome home, Lelouch. I see from your attire you've been out tonight.
Yeah, judging from your attire, you must have been out tonight.
I don't know which is scarier, the fact that you're not dead or the fact that Natalie thinks she can see. By the way, Natalie, how the hell did she get in here? I told you to lock up before I left. This is exactly the reason our shit gets stolen all the time.
I'm going to stay here for a while.
Look at what you made me do. Listen, I do not need this right now. I just blew up a whole bunch of people. My best friend is about to go get re-executed, and I just broke a $2,000 teacup.
Oh, boo-hoo. Because of you, I got shot in the face.
Yeah, how are you not dead?
Oh, do you even really care?
Not really.
No, whatever. I'm staying here with you, like it or not.
No.
Oh, I see where this is going.
No news now.
Ah, Jim, dear Michael Bay, thank you for casting Shia LaBeouf in the Transformers series. Go to hell. Love, Lelouch.
So, are you enjoying the new power I gave you?
What power?
You mean you haven't even tried it out yet? You don't know what it does?
I don't even know what you're talking about. Although now that you mention it, since I met you, everything goes red randomly. And this very strange-looking seagull shows up. Oh, there he is now. He's flying.
That's the power I'm talking about.
How can I use it?
I'm not really sure. Every person I've given it to has different powers. For instance, when I gave it to Aisha, it made everyone think she could sing.
Well, let's try it out right now.
It doesn't work on me.
Double Jim.
Ha ha! Acquittal on account of retardation. God bless the judicial system.
Ah!
Well, there goes that.
Code Mint, ladies and gentlemen. Crazy, crazy Abridged series. Where are you at now? I'm at Soup.
I'm at Soup.
What store are you at? I'm at the soup store. Why are you buying clothes at the soup store? Fuck you! Fuck you!
That's what that's from?
Yes.
Oh, didn't know that.
Yes, Code Mint. I can't find them. Oh, God. Well, oh, God.
Is that all of them?
I think.
Still bar soup.
Is that all the memes? All right, so before this gets any deeper into the unknown, let us say farewell for this evening. This was a lot of fun.
Let me see if I can find a ridiculously stupid acronym to hurt people's brains with.
Oh God, the acronyms, ladies and gentlemen, they're
I
never
forgot to
ending.
tell you about the esoterics and the mag things.
Oh no.
All right, the FTL. There's 2 types of FTL, right?
Faster than light and
Maelstrom drive, the multi-dimensional amorphous environment laminarized superluminal traversable Osrin-Jiang manifold.
It's too long.
And the Tempest drive. The Maelstrom drive is basically slip space.
yeah, that's the rail drive.
And the Tempest drive is basically Mass Effect, except like it's like a Acubure drive, basically. Like a
Yeah.
because I hate Star Trek. When I went through like the describing of this thing and everything, I refuse to use the word warp. I will never use the word warp because I will use the word distort space. Anyways, Tempest drive, targeted exo endo gravitational manipulation propulsion for effective superluminal subluminal transit. There you go.
The aliens they brought back just be like, why the fuck didn't you just call it slip space?
Initially, I did try and find some like generic world, dash space for this whole thing, but
yeah,
it's
okay. Still though, damn acronyms.
Yeah, I got a problem. All right, you want to sign us out?
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for tuning in to whatever the hell this was. It was a experience. Let's just say that. And if you're more curious about the stuff that Roan is doing, I mean, hey, feel free to let us know.
I could talk about it more if you were interested.
Dude,
if I didn't hurt your brain,
he can go on and on about this stuff. Trust me. And he's got, and this, what you've just seen is a sample, a little almost bush, if you will.
I've been working on this for coming up on 4 years now.
Yeah, so there's a lot to get. There's a lot here. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of certain ages, we hope that you enjoyed this this escapade. And until next time, signing off. I'm Nate.
I am Roan.
I'm Nick.
And we will see you all in the next one, everybody. Peace out.
Bye.